1832, Charlie Walker.
This was easily the most interesting or best one of the week because the other two seem to just kind of mirror each other.
I know we're going to disagree.
I don't remember one thing from this episode.
Violently on my interpretation of this, but he's one of those guys that just goes out basically on a walkabout. And, like, is it like a travel kink? Like, he wants to go places, but he has to go there.
Oh, this was the biker guy. The guy by
bicycle.
Gotcha. Yeah.
All right. I mean, we've had these before. Like, why?
I know, but he doesn't seem like he's being sponsored by a ton of people. He's just like out there doing his thing for real.
Well, he's generating experience to write about it. And I'm sure he's a good writer, like technically
that's
proficient.
what all people do. They generate experience to write about if you're a writer.
But
yeah, like Hunter S. Thompson didn't want to be at the Kentucky Derby. He went to the Kentucky Derby.
So if you want to know about how a guy writes about remote places, this guy's super interesting because he's been to a couple places, but he doesn't go to that many places because he's on a fucking bike.
I mean, I agree with Kamar. I agree with what Kamar's saying. I'm going to offer him an olive branch here. It seems like a lot of people go out of their way to put themselves in like wildly dicey situations just to write about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like if you're a SEAL and you're just, you have a lot of tours of duty, that's your job. That's what ends up happening. You end up writing about some crazy shit. But like, it'd be different if I just decided like, well, I'm going to tag along with these SEALs, not you know what I mean? Like I don't know. I'm not saying people shouldn't do it, but like all the countries you could bike across, Russia.
Well, I mean,
Seems pretty savage,
without
man.
that bike ride, he's not here. By the way,
okay,
we
fair
learned
enough.
that. We learned that an hour in because Joe's like, "So let's get to why you're here." Because the rest I've heard. I swear to God, I've heard someone else talk about these places he went. Or I mean, Nepal's interesting. He started on a 4-year trip on a bike, which is crazy. So he gets some respect for that.
And not only just on a bike, but like on a piece of shit bike. It's not like he has a sweet ass setup, comfy. It's just a piece of garbage.
Kamar's cousin biked across Canada.
Yeah, to raise money.
Who's Kamar's cousin?
Brian Cameron.
Shout out Brian.
He biked from Vancouver to, was it Newfoundland?
And he was so pumped after it. Like,
well, why wouldn't you be?
No,
First of all, he had people like me.
I'm not questioning his reaction. I was just like observing that you saw the proof in the pudding. If someone accomplished something huge,
People like you, what?
I was like, you're not going to make it. Honest to God, I was like, I'm sorry,
Doctor
Brian. I was like,
encouragement.
I love you a lot, but I was like, I don't think you make it to Ontario. I was like, this is a big fucking country, bro. I was like, it killed Terry Fox. He didn't make it out of Ontario, and he started in Ontario.
He had only one leg.
I get
man.
it. Either way, Brian texted me like 2 weeks into the trip and was like, I'm in Ontario. I was like, dude, I thought this would take him all summer. He fucking ripped
took
through
it
Canada.
a month, didn't he? Something like that.
Something like
It's
that.
funny
Either way.
because we were somewhere one day and somebody told me, "Oh, I'm biking to this place." I'm like, "Are you crazy? That's going to take you days." But it doesn't. It's like
biking's quick.
5 hours,
Yeah.
whatever. You make pretty good time.
Mm-hmm.
I was surprised at my overestimation on how.
Motorcycles,
blown away, yeah.
Motorcycles much faster.
I'm
Well,
with you.
Ewan McGregor, I was just going to say, like, not to discount what this guy did, but didn't Ewan McGregor and his buddy motorcycle across the entire earth?
Possible.
What?
I
That's
know.
crazy.
I know Neil Peart, rest in peace, the drummer of
Pink Floyd.
Rush.
Oh, Rush. Yeah, sorry.
motorcycle all the way down. To,
Can you
like,
do that?
Chile.
Is there land that connects every place?
No,
on
at some point
Earth?
you have to go on a boat.
At
You
some
can ship
point
your
you
thing
have to go
over.
on a boat. Okay.
But think about it. You could start in like Chile.
Say that again. Where?
Chile?
Okay, thanks.
I believe it's Chile.
It's Chile.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm sure it is, but you're not fucking Brian Callen, so
Am I not?
I don't
Afghanistan?
know.
If you started in Chile, you could drive all the way up through South America, through North America to Alaska. There is a land bridge, I believe, that you can take at the right time of year to get to Russia. And then you could go across
You
Russia.
think there's a
You'd be going across
land bridge?
ice bridge.
Maybe an ice bridge.
Well, whatever.
There's not.
But I don't think there is.
one-
Even then,
At some point, you
hold
gotta
on,
take a
hold on.
ferry.
I don't think
If you,
there's an
but
ice
so
bridge.
are you guys saying that if he took a ferry for like 50 kilometers, that
Not all, Matt.
discounts?
I'm not saying anything.
No, that's fine as long as he was like continuously biking on the ferry.
No, they were motorcycles.
Well, they were motorcycles
Yeah,
again.
so you'd have to
He's just
keep
going
it
in a
running.
circle like a death ball. He's in the fucking
That would be hard. That would be fucking impressive.
Anyways,
Sorry.
he went on the 4-year trip, came back with $60. and
I like that you said $60, 30 pounds.
yeah,
but
you remember that? I did the conversion.
It's,
Yeah,
it's more than $60.
Not
No,
much
it's like
more.
2.2.
Whatever.
I think it's
sorry,
2.2.
$74.
depends on when the exchange rate is
And I had-
$74.
And I had to go
How much is that in Bitcoin?
like 3 Bitcoin
Right now?
right now.
Yeah, I was just gonna say right now. What are you nuts?
3 Bitcoin.
Seriously,
You can get a whole bag of Bitcoin.
holy
for
fuck.
that.
What I'm trying to say is he legitimately came back with $100 after 4 years. I mean, he was roughing it. So he had
Of course.
tons of experiences, tons of stories to sell in his books. I think it may be challenging if he experienced success to sort of replicate what he wants to do. Or he'll have just better bikes and better gear.
It
Well, I was
really
gonna say, he
didn't.
just now he goes to Africa
'Cause
or
he-
Australia.
No, but he
or-
didn't do it the way he did as part of the. He was broke, so
Yeah.
he had to do it that way.
I see what you're saying.
it
Now
really-
he's got money, he can upgrade.
It really didn't sound like this guy was in this to be rich. You
Yeah,
know
I
what
get
I
it,
mean?
yeah.
Or
To make a
famous
living,
for
though.
that
To make a
matter.
living. I'm not famous.
But Kamar, like you said, he could just upgrade his gear and then say to himself, like, okay, you know, I have a bank account with a ton of money in it, but I'm going to do this trip on like
And
$1,000.
no matter what he does, I don't hate it. If he spends
Yeah,
$100,000 to do it, he's saying this is his career, so he's got to be success. Like
No, but it's like.
Well, no, but I like. Sorry,
No, go ahead.
I liked what he said, where he was like, I did this 4-year trip. I came back broke. I got a job. And then I just started getting speaking gigs from like schools and businesses and people kind of, you know, asking me to. I think it's interesting because, like Simon's saying, he didn't plan this out. He was like, I'm going to do this trip. And then he came back and people were like, can you tell us about your experience? And
he did the initial 4-year trip, and he's done many since, but the most now is 8 months. Which is saying the 4-year trip is too long to do this. Like even he realized that.
oh, I mean, come on,
Quicker
man.
turnaround.
4 years? That's fucking bananas.
And he's in his 20s, so fair play to him. But that I would die if I did this. A 4-year trip with no money on a bike. And it was interesting is he's talking so cavalier about no one knew where I was. Like I think he said he threw a cell phone off a boat, and then when he gets to the meat and potatoes of the podcast in Russia, he's trying to get people trying to contact his family and stuff. They talked about Darren Brown. I still don't know if Joe's seen The Push. Anyone out there, please watch The Push.
Joe
What's
has
something
not
to think
seen The
about them?
Push, which is a travesty because you can't talk about Darren Brown without mentioning the fact that he pretty much conned 2 out of 3 people into manslaughter, murder, whatever you want to fucking call it.
That one obviously is insane. But the one they were talking about, I think, where
Yeah,
you
where he-
ask to get a present and then they give. Did they mention that on this one, or is that a different podcast I listened to?
Might be a different one.
Bleed through.
Anyways, Darren Brown does a show where he asks, you know, Simon Pegg.
Do you have a new phone?
No, my case is trash.
Simon Pegg,
You
yeah.
know Simon Pegg?
Yeah.
So he gets Simon Pegg to write down on a piece of paper what his favorite gift in the whole world would be.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't remember what it was, but we're just play along here. Then I guess during the day or the past week or whatever, he had been like priming Simon Pegg,
Mm-hmm.
where every day Simon Pegg would see like a billboard that said like shiny red bike or whatever, you know what I mean? Something like that. And everywhere it was a shiny red bike, shiny, and he didn't even know he was seeing these things. And then on the day where he goes to open the thing, he, whatever his name
Darren
is,
Brown.
Darren Brown says, "So what did you write?" And Simon Pegg says, "Shiny red bike." Like, that's what I want. It's all I've ever wanted is a shiny red bike.
But he's got a shiny red bike for him.
No, he fucking opens it up and Simon Pegg had written black motorcycle jacket. But he had convinced himself been convinced over the next, or maybe it was from that point on, then he started implanting him with the memories. I don't remember exactly how it
He
went.
implanted
But
a memory though.
He legitimately thought that he had wrote shiny red bicycle and was shocked that it said black leather jacket.
That
The
is-
whole thing was
that is-
bonkers, man.
that
I'm
is
sorry.
super
It's
Darren
just,
Brown.
Darren Brown is amazing.
He went to the coldest place in the world to document climate change. Like I feel like this guy is a writer / journalist / speaker,
Okay.
and he was a bit in denial because the reason why he got on is because he was traveling in Russia, saying he was talking to people and interviewing people about the Ukraine and the war. Like he didn't go there for this purpose, but was there when the war popped off.
Yeah, but yes
It's
and no.
almost
hold
like
on.
it's almost like the one where Icarus, or he just happens upon it because
Talking on the mic, buddy.
the guy just happens upon the story because he starts the one story.
Happenstance.
So this guy was going for climate change and ended up now being embedded in a war.
But Kamar, I think in
So-
his defense too, like even you, who's not a journalist, if you were in Russia when shit popped off, I feel like you might ask a question or two of the locals, right? Would you? I mean, maybe you'd be more cautious. I don't know, but I feel like I'd be inquisitive.
Just talking, but any recording, any writing it down, I was
Yeah.
documenting. I'm just saying the guy sort of was sounding like he got done wrong by it, but I feel like those rules are shitty, but those are the rules there. Like, and he's very fortunate. Like, I think someone could argue why he does go to jail for saying he's not a journalist. Like, what if they find, because he said he actually hid stuff in a USB plug, in a plug. And
Well, no, he had-
sounds like you're
Lucky to be alive.
it sounds like you're being deceptive. Like I think he was in denial.
Well, no, because what he was hiding was the recording of the cops interviewing him. That's different.
Was it? I thought he was just hiding his like journals that he had written that whole time. He just didn't want to waste all the work he had done.
The SD card that Kamar's talking about that he hid in like the thing in the hat, that was the recording of the cops like shaking him down. So that recording I'd want to have too. You'd want to have some fucking proof in case you ever end up doing
Unless
30
it's them
years.
who find it, and then you're fucking dead. you
And I'm
know?
sure if they really thought he was fucking around, they would have beat the shit out of him.
I also have a question. Do we not assume that a lot of Russians have guns? Maybe I'm wrong.
I'm not sure what the gun law is there.
I imagine that they don't have guns because, like we're going to talk about in the next one, the government does not want you rising against it with rifles. You know?
Yeah, but this is where I disagree. I feel like a lot of Russians have guns.
I wonder how communism works. I don't think that the people are given
I don't think it's,
fucking weapons
it's
to attack
communist
their
anymore.
Yeah, it's not
the people
communist.
leading them.
And I
Russia's
think
not a
that
communist
was a misnomer
I,
mentioned.
I mean, it's not, but
It's a democratic dictatorship.
but Putin still follows a lot of like Stalin like principles. I think.
Sure, I'm just curious because I believe there's still a lot of fucking Cold War guns probably hanging
Oh,
around in
yeah.
well,
Russia.
remember that one where the guys are selling subs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure everyone has a gun, and I'm sure there's no gun registry.
But that's what I'm
And
saying
if you
is
get
like
caught, it's a bad day for you if you have it.
we talk about this
Self-defense.
corrupt state, but I believe there's a lot of guns in Russia. I don't know though. I'd have to look it up. I'm just talking on my ass.
I'm gonna look it up.
But just the way he framed it, and I know I'm going to sound like an idiot, but Ukraine is just as corrupt as Russia. Like there's no winner or losers in this thing.
hmm
I really truly feel that way.
No, he didn't frame it that way.
And the news saying that Russia's the worst and Ukraine is victims, like it's none of our business, to be honest with you. That's what I think.
That's fine, but this guy did say definitively, he's like, Russia is a failed state that cannot be trusted, and they are. He said Ukraine might be corrupt, but nowhere near like Russia.
I know, and I think he was misguided because he's saying that.
But he was there.
No, but he was saying Russia's endangering itself of isolation, but it's not. Like India fucks with Russia, Iraq fucks with Russia, China fucks with Russia, Venezuela fucks with Russia. Like the news is saying Russia's losing this thing, but they're not. Their economy's fine with the whole planet putting them in a headlock. They're doing fine. Maybe better than us, which is just bizarre to how they frame it on the news.
How do you assume Russia's economy is doing better, or Russia in general? Is
Because they
doing
have
better?
all these sanctions on them and their ruble's gone up. Like it went down immediately, but they are what someone framed it is in North America, it's more of a service industry, is like everything. Work in stores, retail, like there's not a lot of manufacturing jobs. But in these countries like Russia, even Ukraine, they make stuff. They're building stuff.
What are
They're
you talking
producing
about? When
stuff.
was the last time you saw something that said "made in Russia"?
No, they produce fertilizer, iron ore.
What's your point though?
People telling us that Russia is fucked? Like they're
But who are they? They're producing it for themselves.
no the world.
Well,
But
but,
I
the
don't get it.
world
How
has
did-
sanctions against them right
And there's
now.
they should
So
be,
they have nowhere to export their goods to.
but people need their oil, people need their fertilizer. Like even though they did these sanctions, they misjudged the situation. Just Russia's not doing as bad as people think it is, and it's
Yeah, but
it's a matter of time
sanctions take a long time. You realize that, right?
to affect.
Yes. It's not like it's an overnight,
Like-
we just crippled
Like
Russia.
he said, McDonald's moved out. Of,
Yeah, but how was okay? That
and
was
then some other
Tasty
company came
Food
in,
moved
and like
in.
it's they're not suffering like we think they are. Or
No,
we
it's
thought
true.
They were.
That is interesting, Matt, because I thought McDonald's left, like they don't have McDonald's anymore, which they don't.
No,
But
I heard a
something else
company
just
bought-
moved
an,
in.
an oligarch just opened it up.
It's
Yeah, but you're also forgetting, hold on, you're forgetting that McDonald's is a massive corporation. They're not just going to move the fuck out without getting their bank, right? Like they own all those buildings.
no. That's not what I'm saying. Nothing to do with McDonald's. I'm
I
just
think
saying,
they made money off it.
like
Of course.
in my head, as I imagine in other people's heads, when you hear something like that, you are thinking to yourself, Russians have lost the ability to get fast food. That is not the case. They have just lost the ability to buy McNuggets. Now they have to buy fucking McTasty nuggets, you know?
And
Yeah,
here,
okay.
the news is telling us that gas, supply chains, like all this stuff is because Russia invaded Ukraine. But I bet you any money if Russia doesn't invade Ukraine, all this stuff is still fucked up because of their policy. But they're using Russia as a scapegoat, and that's just disingenuous.
By the way, your buddies at Big Oil, Kamar, they just released their number. They just released their numbers for 2022, and Shell, for example, made 9.1 billion, which is 4 times more than they made this time last year.
I
So
know
if
because
you-
they're jacking up the price of oil.
Yeah, exactly, for no reason. It's all like there's no reason for this oil.
But that's
hike,
how
for
they
this
do it.
gas
Whenever
hike.
there's a scare anywhere,
course.
there could be a war with the North Pole and they would figure out a way to fucking raise gas prices. Did you see that Amazon released? There was a leaked memo from Amazon that said by the year 2024, 2 years,
Yeah,
they are going to run out of manpower for their warehouses.
Amazon can't keep up with itself.
They are too big to have enough people. There aren't enough people in the world to dude.
that's such. Listen, first of all,
It's like everyone having a
do you know?
podcast.
Do you know why that's bullshit?
Why is that bullshit, Matt?
Because if they just started paying more,
Oh,
all
yeah.
those jobs would be
Oh, no,
filled.
no. That is by the equation of how much they pay their employees. Absolutely.
Well, that's what
But all this is an excuse for them to say, okay, well, look,
robots.
we don't, it's there. It's right there. You know what I mean? In the writing.
I'm just saying that's
And
a
the- and the-
fugazi fucking because considering how much money they make
Oh,
and,
no, of
the
course.
government money they get, we know they could be paying every single employee at the bottom $5 more an hour and be very comfortable.
I wonder if that makes a difference. Like there are so many people who just don't want to work, I guess.
but
That
that's
does that $5 an hour working for Amazon make a fucking difference?
Yes, if listen, imagine the quality of life that you get if you automatically get a $5 an hour pay bump. That's huge.
Oh, I agree.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And if you know that the company that won't give it to you, like you can see the numbers every year, you also see the government cash they get. Like, how could it's crazy to me?
That's why they want robots.
know,
Robots
I get
can't
it.
fucking be like,
They can't unionize. Yeah, I get it.
Well, they can. Then that's a whole other movie. Go on.
this is what I'm trying to say. Like an Amazon job, compared to jobs in these industrious countries, is worthless.
What does that mean? What are you talking about?
Well, all you're doing is a middleman, but you're killing mom and pop shops, other businesses, everything else. Like if Amazon goes away, life continues. If farmers go away, a guy who fucking picks bananas somewhere, if they go away, things fall apart. Like Amazon has made itself necessary, but we don't need access to stuff like that. And that's what I'm saying. Manufacturing jobs are so much better. I like that I'm a trade. Like I do something. Like people just move stuff around. Are they really making the world a better place?
Well, you could argue you need all of them. Like a banker, you would argue doesn't do anything, but you need that banker.
They're
don't
the
you?
worst of the like.
Well, and you're not really creating, like in all fairness, somebody else is building that house and you're slapping the paint on it.
Yeah, but I mean, this week I'm painting a restaurant.
No, I know,
That
but
was
you're
painted
not
before.
you're not building furniture. You know what I
His
mean?
point was much like Amazon. If we stopped painting things, the world doesn't change.
It looked ratty.
Okay, but that's not the. Sure. Well, if Amazon goes away, we don't get things.
That
as
wasn't
quickly.
really my point, but it could work that way too. I see.
Do you think Russia like doesn't know what the WNBA is or what it means to people?
Did you just say the WNBA?
Yeah.
What do you mean what it means to people?
Well, no one cares about it.
No, it's garbage.
But they took a WNBA player. Like, once we get her,
Oh, yeah, that's good collateral,
The
yeah.
country will fall. Like, take LeBron James because they're trying to get some Merchant of War arms.
It's true. It's
dealer
pretty
out.
low collateral.
Just that's the only sort of thing I was like, Russia doesn't know what they're doing. Like,
It's like walking into a fucking car lot that's full of luxury cars and stealing like an old Chevelle.
Listen, that's hilarious. That's very funny. But in all like fairness, any life to the Americans is worth the same thing. You know what I mean? I don't think there's a degree of.
I disagree. You take LeBron, they're sending a SEAL team over. You take a WNBA player, and there's a
I
6-month
don't.
negotiation.
I don't think there's shit you can do. Like unless you want to start war. That's the point.
and
you
to
know
make
what I
light of
mean?
it,
Human life
I-
becomes a bargain.
I do hope she's safe and like who knows, she may be killing it over there, or she's like I hope the best for her personal safety.
killing it. Like you think she's still there just shooting hoops?
Yeah, they've set up a basket.
What if she's hanging out with Edward Snowden? We don't know anything. The news is
Well,
just
we know she's not hanging out with what's his name?
Go on.
What is his name?
I don't remember.
A
Julian
Russian person?
Assange?
No,
Assange,
we'll get to
yeah.
that in the post show. They were talking about corruption and how like Zelensky's corrupt too. He banned at least 11 opposition parties in March, like eliminating your political. Like it's the same thing, but I don't know why we support them. They do have Nazis. We do know they have Nazis. He downplayed that, and I can prove to you because I can show you Vice videos and like really left-leaning stuff.
Oh no.
Talking about the Nazi problem in Ukraine
Yeah, you are
from
a-
6 years ago.
Listen, you are 100% correct.
I love that. Hold on. You can't do that though.
You can't do what?
You can't be like these left-leaning media because you're constantly ragging on them for lying. So then
What-
you can't be like,
what
but
I'm
this
s-
one time they were
What
right.
I'm saying, they have their angle is.
I agree. Listen, there are Nazis there for sure. And I said this at the time when there was all these fucking videos of him like, we're standing strong in the Capitol. I was like, this all seems like a shitload of
Like
propaganda.
I'm pretty sure they do not have Gay Pride Month in Ukraine. I'm pretty sure that sort of thing is frowned upon, and probably in Russia too. Obviously, that's it. They made it legal there.
Did you say probably in Russia?
No, I said in Ukraine. We're
No, but
sure
then
about
you-
Russia.
yeah. Oh, we're
Oh, I see.
yeah. No, Kamar, you're right. But what's your point?
We as Canada, for what we stand for, cannot defend Ukraine.
You can defend the idea of a bigger country not just being able to step on a smaller country. I understand. Oh, come on,
No,
man.
we
If-
have to say you guys got to get to the table. From what I understand, the reason why Zelensky won't make peace with them or broker a deal is because he'll get killed. Because it's the warring faction of Ukraine that wants this to continue and fight.
oh, like they'll murder him
Yeah.
just to put in another puppet.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
So he's in a rock and a hard place. But like everything we've learned in life, this would have been the first situation where the right thing would be is like stop the war, give up some ground. They've just sent $40 billion to them to fight. Like the soldiers in Russia and the Ukrainian people are the victims of the world mishandling this situation.
Well, that's the one thing you're missing, I think, is that when we step into these situations, sometimes we push aside the government or like we're doing it to save the innocent people. Is that not the idea?
I don't think we've made a lick of difference.
I can agree with you there. Listen, I said it 2 weeks ago when the Americans gave them $40 billion. I was like, if I'm an American taxpayer, I'm like, what the fuck are we doing here?
Well, yeah, we'll get back to that in the other one with Colin.
Colin.
I'm just saying, this guy was talking how cut and dry this situation Ukraine and Russia is, and I just don't think it is, because obviously I'm skeptical of mainstream media, and what they're telling me is
But Kamar, there's
the
no
truth,
way,
so-
there's no way, mainstream media or not, you think that Russia is like a good place with good intentions. No fucking way.
if his intention was to free this area because they're all Russian living in Ukraine and the Nazis have been killing them for the last 6 years, yes, it's what he has to do. If that's true. If that's true. If he's just doing a mad power grab and is crazy, then of course it's crazy.
And I'm not talking about innocent Russian people. I'm just saying the Russian government, no bueno. No bueno.
Our government, no bueno either. Like
Well, fine, that's fine too. But I'm not.
that's the other problem we're in now. Is that there's no government to look to be like, yes, they're doing it well. Maybe the Scandinavian countries, but they're have smaller populations to manage.
Yeah, but
you
even
see,
then,
like, all governments are flawed.
even then, I had this conversation. I said this before. Like, the only reason those Scandinavian countries can sit there and be like, we don't have any recent blood on our hands is because everyone else has so much on theirs. Because those countries would just get fucking steamrolled. Like, this guy said it. He was like, Finland, Putin said he was going to finish what Peter the Great couldn't, which was invading Finland. And this guy said, he was like, so obviously if you're Finnish right now, you got to be a little bit fucking worried about Putin's kind of last act as a dying man. So that's what I'm saying is those Scandinavian countries, I feel like they would be they'd be quick to go.
But have you seen photos of people just living life normally?
So
in
would we, by the way. Kyiv.
My bad. Like in your head, you imagine this whole country under desks, but people just living their life. Like life's going on. Restaurants are open. It's just such a weird.
No, but I mean, again,
because they've learned to live with violence. Like I don't.
No, I think in the areas where they're fighting, they've destroyed everything that they don't want.
Yeah, but there's constantly like, Kamar, you're right. Everything's open and people are going places, but every once in a while there's an air raid siren and people do get under desks.
No, it was the same thing when the war in Syria was happening. You see these kids on Instagram in Syria, like, but you're like, wow.
Well, it's how Israel and Palestine have to live all the time, right?
That
like,
too.
Just chilling in a marketplace and you risk fucking getting blown up. That's just part of life.
The news is biased and doesn't show you
Oh,
everything.
listen,
it wants you to see.
I agree with you 100% there, Kamara. And with whatever they're showing you, assume that is fucking not what is actually going on there. Because all you have to do is look back at every other time this has happened. And you
It'll
can
come
see
out in
the
the wash.
exact playbook, man. They don't stray far. You know what I mean? Making a boogeyman isn't a new.
I would my only concern is, Kamar, I'd be careful because neither of these are good players. It's not like two wrongs are making a right.
And I'm worried as a Canadian government, we're picking the wrong side.
Well, I think the problem is North America is constantly intervening, man.
Well,
this is just all we do.
Hold on a second. What is Canada going to do? You know what I mean? They're going to
Taking
go.
refugees. That'd be good. Taking refugees.
But I
have no problem with that.
But you didn't want us
Helping
taking in
out.
refugees before.
But you're asking what can we do instead
No.
of sending them guns?
I totally agree with you. Take in refugees, sure.
If you ask me, that's what we can
No,
do.
I meant more like you want us to go against like the fucking states and say,
Of course. Jean Chrétien did it in the war in Iraq, and we're still here. It's possible to be done.
Okay, yeah, I mean, sure.
Like, if you look at Brazil, like Brazil has its problems, but it doesn't fuck with any. Like we are too small for to be like acting like on the world stage. Like we should have a say in what's going on.
And sorry, why
Well, that I
is
can agree
why
with.
is one of the solutions? And I'm being totally genuine here.
Mm-hmm.
Why is one of the solutions not let us have all the people who live in Donbass? We're going to take them back to Russia where they're safe,
Resettle them.
resettle them, and you have to pay us a certain amount of money. Like, isn't that like, why is that unacceptable to Putin?
I do not know that that's ever been put on the table.
Of
and-
course it must have been put on the table.
No,
like-
nothing's been put on the table. That's
No, but I mean, if I can come up with that, obviously world leaders have come up with
well,
it.
they because they wanted to
don't-
have this war to crush Russia and to your Lockheed Martin, your Raytheons, all those people to have some place to sell their guns. The powers that be, they wanted this to happen. This is because it's taken up the slack of the pandemic, but it's losing its steam.
Also, don't forget, we've totally forgotten that Ghislaine Maxwell probably named like 100 people quietly in a room somewhere.
Of course,
They
But that
built
all happened while this happened.
shame
so-
on us.
they built a space force, Kamar, to tackle an enemy that may not even exist. They don't need a place to fund money. All of those companies you just named could just fucking sell lasers to the Space Force to make up the fucking difference. You know what I mean?
Clearly not. The other reason I'm super skeptical about this is because it's so ironic that it was Biden's son who was working Ukraine and all that.
Yeah.
Well, no, and also the fact that they tried to take Russia out like the old-fashioned way, I guess, which is just a smear campaign.
Simon, you're forgetting too that like what Kamar's saying, if you think about it, if they know, and they probably did, if they know there's a massive recession coming, the best way out of that's a war. Isn't it?
Unfortunately. And
Like
just
historically speaking, that's kind of been
people blaming shit on Putin is just disingenuous.
I
It's
know,
not
but
what the
them
problem
taking
is.
$48 billion and just giving it to the Ukraine, that is, they don't need to have a war anymore. Does anybody even question that? Like,
yeah, but you're forgetting they're
Exactly.
siphoning money out. Like, dude, Afghanistan was like $1 billion a week or some shit, and then that funnel
for
stopped.
20 plus years.
That's what I'm
yeah.
saying.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
that
no,
funnel
listen,
stopped. So
look, obviously, I think that is absolutely possible.
So I just think, knowing what we know, even though that guy was there, he had just a little bit of bias in the way he was telling the story.
Can
dude, by the way, Biden falling off of his bike this week.
Well, there
I
goes the
laughed.
post, Joe.
I laughed.
Can
Sorry.
any
That's the whole post.
can any country just claim neutrality? I was thinking about
Switzerland.
Just say
That.
we
Well,
don't
I know
fucks with
Switzerland just
anyone.
like that. We don't want to. We're not in this.
Yeah.
Can Canada do that
should
too?
do that.
Just say we're neutral.
Hold on, you're
We
missing the big concern there is if you're constantly like we're neutral, if shit ever really did hit the fan, someone's coming.
Yeah.
No, but everybody
right now,
always
right
put-
now, if shit hits a fan, we're fucked. Except
Isn't
for the
that
Americans.
I agree,
interesting
yeah.
If the
too?
Americans come for us.
Oh, I agree. If the Americans
Isn't
ever
it
come, we're
interesting
done.
too that isn't Switzerland where all those fucking unchartered bank accounts
All the
are or
oligarchs is?
whatever? No, like
no, that's
Swiss
mostly-
banks.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, there's Swiss banks, but then there's offshore. So there's
Anyways, so Swiss banks, if that was the case, and they were claiming neutral, that would totally make sense if that everybody had to
Apparently,
protect
though,
their money.
The most bank counts are in the United States.
The most bank accounts.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
I don't
or
know what
I
that
can
Like
do
means
with that.
offshore tax havens.
Well, those
like-
aren't in the States then.
No, Americans put their stuff other place. Other countries put their stuff in America. Like, remember
Really?
there was a
Yeah, that's because Americans don't want to pay taxes.
there was a bank in America that got busted for $500 million in drug money. Like
Bank
or
of America.
Something well, exactly. So Americans don't do it. They don't hide their money there, but the rest of the world hides their money there, and that's a misnomer. No
But you're
one knows.
forgetting though that like if a drug lord is trying to move his money into the States, it's because he's trying to clean it and then invest it in the States. Whereas Americans,
for the economy.
Americans are trying to take their American money, move it into an offshore account so that it's not accounted for and they don't pay tax on it. There's a little bit of a difference.
Right, of course, you only need to clean money if you live in the States because you're trying to clean American money.
You only need to clean. What? Say that again?
Well, if you live in fucking Italy,
Yeah.
then you'll clean your money in Italy. You're trying to turn it into clean Italian funds, right?
Well, no, what I'm saying is like foreign people might want to put their money into. Listen, the U.S. stock exchange is obviously the biggest exchange in the world, so a lot of people are invested in there, and that's what I'm saying. Is a lot of foreign money is in the States and U.S. bank accounts so that they can invest
Yeah,
in the.
right. It's mostly Asians buying NFTs. That's what you're saying.
houses.
He didn't want to just come out and say it, but I'll say it.
Do you guys look at Russian architecture and think it's cool? Like especially those churches.
Yeah, it's so awesome.
And
Well,
you
you're
know,
talking the old, like the Kremlin style,
Well,
that
it's
sort of.
well, the Kremlin's like their apartment building.
it's
still cool. but
Tatarian.
But apparently the guy who made them like blinded everyone who made them so you could never see how beautiful they are. You know those Russia stories.
Oh, I crack myself.
Just
up.
Russia's way more interesting than I think the bad shit it is. And then he was talking about how good they are, and he forgot to say hockey. Russians have always been really good
They're
at hockey.
insane at hockey.
Because he said boxing, wrestling, UFC fighting.
By the way, there's two things people should watch if you want to kind of get an idea, like a real look at Russia. There's this guy who has a YouTube channel. His name is Bald, and he should actually be a guest on Rogan. It's Bald and something, I forget. He just travels everywhere. He speaks a ton of languages. He's an English guy. He did the Trans-Siberian train.
Crossing.
Well, it's like a 4-day train ride through Siberia. And it's pretty fucking interesting. Shane O'Neill, or not Shane O'Neill, Shane Smith. Shane O'Neill's a skateboarder. Shane Smith did the same thing, I think. No, it wasn't Shane. It was some Jewish guy from
Where
Vice.
is Shane Smith? That's
a
the
great
missing
question.
link.
He's dead.
And then so Joe goes, well,
He must have gotten Me Too'd.
do you have I think he sort of did because of old Vice when Gav was still there, a lot of stuff that went on. But Joe goes, "So do you have anything else to talk about?" And he's like, "Well, no, actually, you have to take a piss." And he comes back and starts to talk about Papua New Guinea, and then Joe tells him about Papua New
Yeah.
Guinea. And Papua New Guinea, the fact that they said they have 750 languages, there's only 8 million people. Like, remember last week we were talking about, like, we thought, why is it weird that someone in China and someone in South America grew up with a different language, but on the same little piece of land, they don't know they're on an island or on a planet
These are the undiscovered tribes is
of
this what we're
Papua New
talking
Guinea,
about?
which is my favorite thing to say, I think.
Papua New Guinea.
Papua New Guinea.
How?
Don't you think that idea, well, we can never have that, but there's people who live on the planet Earth that don't even know it's round or don't even, like, it's,
Mhm.
I just think it's a cool innocence or
Until you find out that they have to drink a bunch of old man cum to become a man, and then
It's
you're like, oh
always-
wait, I'd kind of rather think the world was round and that I
it's
could go.
always back to the gay shit.
I had a really cool idea last night about the moon because it was like a perfect half moon last night. So, what if the moon was like a portal to another dimension, and every time it disappeared over here, it appeared over there? Like we share a moon. That's the only thing we share.
Hmm.
No,
Sure.
Nothing?
Yeah.
It's kind of neat.
Wouldn't we see stuff coming out of the portal often?
I mean, would we? I don't know. I don't
I
know.
believe there's probably some telescope or satellite pointed at the moon fairly often. You wouldn't?
Yeah, maybe we just like those people know about it. I don't know.
There's a new show on Amazon where Sissy Spacek and the guy from the drum movie and prison movie Oz.
Yeah. Simmons?
Yeah, J.K.
Yeah.
Simmons. And in their basement is another dimension.
Hmm.
And it sort of the set portal. Very, very interesting.
It was the moon.
No, it's another dimension which has moons. We imagine all universes, multi-universes have moons.
Yes, Simon.
Moons may be more common than human beings. Imagine that.
Well, they probably are. If the universe
If
is
the universe is
indeed
infinite,
infinite,
yeah,
then
there's only 8
there are
billion of
way
us.
more,
So moon ain't shit.
way more.
I
I-
mean,
I-
people ain't. I know moon ain't shit. You're hilarious.
Moons are a dime a dozen.
Yeah, it's true. But then so are solar systems, aren't they?
So we believe, from what we now know, yeah,
There you go.
everything's a dime a dozen.
Yeah.
Then
well, sorry. Go ahead.
they talked about ancient civilizations. Was there anything there? They talked about the planting of the
Rainforest.
forests,
Yeah.
populations of 20 million.
Well, the rainforest planting is very interesting. Like
super, super interesting.
Yeah, but I
That's why
feel like it
there's
would be
such
on
a-
the JRE bingo card. Like,
yeah, for sure. But such a diverse array of useful plants. You know.
And what's weird is Joe talks about this isn't anywhere in, like, I don't think anyone in university can learn about that. Like, there's no information of the suggestion of 20 million people living here, highly advanced
No, yeah.
civilization. The best you get is the mystery of Egypt, which I think we're still at.
But just imagine,
Mainstream.
Kamar, this is our time, so we assume it's important. But maybe in 100 years, that will be the going, you know, yes, there have been 3 civilizations of human beings. That'll be written about in the textbooks. We just happen to be in like, our time is for dullards.
There was a story.
no, it's like you guys are angry that we haven't figured it all out yet. That's the problem.
No,
we-
that's what I
we-
mean. We're
like-
so self-centered,
Yeah,
right?
like, it's like we might
we
get
want
there
it to
eventually.
happen during our 100 years.
hell of a set
And
of
what I'm
ego.
saying is, it might just be the next 100 years. That
But you're
are-
also discounting all the things we did figure out in our time. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
no,
like
we
where you're
figured
like,
out some stuff, but I figure
Some stuff?
we have done more damage to the direction of man in the past, even like 10 years, than we ever did in like the 100 before that. You know,
but you could never tell until
well, until we're all gone. And
What's
Like what I'm saying.
what's interesting is there's an article saying they think 600 years later they figured out where the Black Plague came from.
just now,
Yeah.
600 years
Yeah.
later, yeah.
So
Wow,
your 100 years might not be.
that might not be enough. Yeah,
But
well,
as
there you go.
Bushido says, we're going to control the planet. Like I
yeah,
hope to-
not
to-
while you're alive.
unless I get downloaded in 20 years from now.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's true, right? Like a thing's not a thing until it happens.
Sissa.
So right now we can't do shit. that doesn't mean in 10 years we can't do everything.
Kamar, imagine if they made you work. Like
as a downloaded thing.
yeah.
That's
I can
interesting.
Like it
If-
was like you got to put in your 8 hours a day or else you
well,
can't.
it would be super expensive to do, I imagine. And if you want to do it for free, while you're downloaded, they get to use your, like you said, didn't we have this? Your body as like a slave?
That's what I said. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that would be that, and you're like paying off your download.
To keep the server running.
Well, that happens. Like Wi-Fi, you've got to do something to produce your Wi-Fi signal or your RAM or your memory.
Well, no, Simon, my idea was that
Indenture servitude will never go away.
Simon, my idea was that you could put yourself in a simulation so that the second you like left the house, like your body was in autopilot. So like, you know, it would walk you to work. You would do all the work, but in your mind, you're on a beach in
Right,
fucking
yeah,
in
yeah.
like Bali.
Well, maybe that's exactly how it is. It doesn't have to be miserable. All they want to do is use your body, right?
That's what I'm saying.
So-
Well, they would want to make it as comfortable as
they'd-
possible. Yeah.
or maybe they're just dicks.
There's a chance of that too.
You know, we're assuming that it's all going to be at our.
You're getting a
leisure.
blowjob, but it's from a guy.
You're probably just happy you're getting off at that point.
That's what I'm saying. You're like,
So to summarize what I thought of this podcast is he's got some interesting stories, but I think he was doing what he shouldn't have been doing. Is a little naive. The way he just sounded like, hey, I was just minding my own business, talking to people like, and he got really fortunate and good for him.
Can I ask you this question? If he had just, because I always wonder this, like Brian going across Canada is a good example. Like I often find people travel a lot, but then you're like, oh, where have you been in Canada? And they're like, oh, you know, nowhere. You know what I mean? I know a lot of people that travel the world, but like haven't been that many places in Canada.
Well-
So my question is, do you think if this guy had just biked through the UK, like hitting up all the little towns along the way, do you think,
Could have scratched the itch.
or do you think you would have enough to write about? Like, do you think it would still? Because I guess that's the sign of a good writer, right? Like Hunter S. Thompson can go to something like the Kentucky Derby and, you know, write this.
Yeah, I mean, there's a difference between a journalist and Jack Kerouac on the road.
Of course, I
depends
get it.
what you want to write. you
Yeah,
know?
but I'm just saying, you know, I mean, none of us read this guy's book, so
Maybe he needs more. Like maybe he's a thrill junkie.
well, it sounds that way.
It's just interesting going out to people who are so remote, and there's people there. Like it's not a lifestyle or whatever that you'd want to partake in, but people are doing what they got to be doing. They're like, if they didn't, they'd move someplace. Like at the beginning, you were saying Mongolia is starting to get out of control.
Yeah, like have you ever watched Lawless Island?
No.
It's a show on I don't know some network, but it's a reality show. It's all these people who live like northern Alaska.
Just don't
It's
like
this
people.
one little island that has maybe I don't know 30 people on it. Maybe not even that many. I don't know. But the way they have to live out there is like hard. But they do it because they love it, you know?
It's just so weird to me that like in this day and age when there's no reason that people would be like, I'm going to live on this remote, freezing cold. I mean, again, I hate winter, so I can't
They
imagine.
probably grew up there. That's where their parents were from, you know what I mean? And that's
I
how
just
that
refused.
place-
I refuse to believe that if you put that person in like a small town in a beautiful city in California, that they wouldn't just be like, you know what, it's a little bit better.
I don't know. Some people need like
Well, they don't have no TV to see what they're missing.
they need
Don't
purpose.
worry.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not one of those people. I could just be
Yeah,
happy
just
in
the-
a little town, but
Sure.
some people need like that's how they fucking stay alive.
But like, what is your purpose? Like, because you're saying they need a purpose, so like,
Well, their purpose is to survive,
Not be soft.
so that's all of our purpose.
I mean, to one extent or another, but they have to chop their own firewood and they have to fucking go cut down their own tree to chop up that firewood.
Not be soft.
You have to go to the fucking grocery store. You know what I mean?
Those people still go to doctors. Like, they're not going to suture their own fucking wound. So at the end of the day, guess what? You're still going to the same doctor.
I mean, I think
am.
a
Like,
doctor probably comes out there. I have no idea.
That's fine. But the
don't
point is, you can sit there and be like, you're soft, but that we still,
But again, maybe they don't go to doctors. I don't know what they do.
I just die because that's how we do it out here, like men.
That's how they've done it for generations.
You're fucking. That's it. You're done.
Yeah. I give it a 1.5.
A 1.5.
I thought he was so biased in how he's
Oh,
talking.
just about the Ukraine. That
guy's-
was the part I found weird too. Like he came out as a total expert on it, and because it wasn't how I had heard the story. It seemed
You're
weird.
funny though, Kamar, because it can't just be his opinion based on
No,
what he
it was
saw.
his-
He was in a Russian
no, it was
prison.
his fact that everything he said he's doing sounded like he was a journalist, and then he was saying, but I'm not even a journalist. I don't know what is going on. It's like I think he's out of touch. Like
It's weird though that you're like, this guy has biases. Like, he just spent time in a Russian prison and nearly didn't leave. Like, I don't get this guy's fucking problem. What's his problem
and
in
he
Russia?
thought he was doing nothing wrong, and I think he did something wrong. And the fact that he lacks that self-awareness, what good of writer can he be?
I'm just curious. So, you think journalists should be locked up for doing journalist stuff?
If that's the laws, yeah. I mean, if you break the law, I don't think that's right. But
Well, no, but that's okay.
in that country, doing what he's doing is against the law, so don't do it. I thought about it when you say, "Hey, if you don't want to go on Twitter and be censored, don't go on Twitter. Hey, if you don't want to be subject to fucking archaic, brutal laws, don't go there." Like going to Saudi Arabia, smoke a joint, get your head cut off. Like that is ridiculous, but that's their rule, or that's an extreme example.
Yeah, if you don't want to be eaten by a shark, don't go in
Don't
the
go
ocean.
in the ocean. And bravo for him that he lived to tell about it, and hopefully sells lots of books. I found it frustrating.
I don't think he's a journalist. I think that's where you are that's where I think you're getting your wires
I
crossed.
might be pushing it.
And I may be wrong. I think you're right. I think he fell into that thing. I think he was there to bike across fucking Ukraine, I guess, or Russia, or wherever the hell he was.
For climate change.
Or how about I throw this out just to throw Kamar an olive branch? This guy's just a British Mike Baker.
No. This guy doesn't pretend to be anything.
You think
No,
he's
no,
in
but-
the CIA?
Why not? Could be British SAS, right? Like low key, there to just bike. Oh, I'm just 4-year bike trip across Russia. Just gonna ask a few questions about Ukraine.
They shit.
And then gets fucking.
They shit on hustle porn, and then he was like, "Well, but I do hustle porn. Like I
What
give
is
speeches
what
to
is hustle porn?
You know, like those fucking
do
motivational.
something.
Yeah.
I did
Oh.
this. You could do this."
Either way, I'll give it a 3.
I'll give it a 2. A 2.
You just had to go, okay, fair. All right, we are going to take a break. Maybe we'll pay a bill. Who the fuck knows? And we'll probably be right back.